YouTube, what the crap's going on? Heir of Giant Toads here, and we're going to be watching some more multiplayer in Total War Warhammer 3. I think I said Warhammer 2 at the end of my last recording that I did. I guess we were in that game for a long time. We're going to see a Slann Mage of Life taking on Isabella VonCarstein, so she is leaving her bow at home today and taking the fight all by her lonesome. Which she will do well. Isabella is a pretty interesting lord for the vampire. She's very speedy. She's up on her, what do they call this thing? Or I don't remember exactly what they call it. Anyway, she's mounted up in the sky. She's very fast. She can heal like crazy. She's not amazing in a fight, but she's pretty good in the right situation. But the biggest thing is how she can heal and support with magic. We're going to see some Sternsmen and other Grave Guards supported by Cryptors. This adds a nice armor piercing and poison element for the vampires, as well as a couple of spear units. Adds some anti-large capability. Fell Bats, just to give a little bit of mobility and kind of swarm capability. Now for the Lizardmen, we're going to see some Chameleon Skinks up front. I love Chameleon Skinks, one of my favorite units for the Lizards. Very versatile against low armor, and very good at slowing down and influencing cavalry fights as well. They can really support Lizardmen cavalry quite well as other units. We're going to see some skink cohorts up front, some of which have javelins. There are some Saurus warriors up here as well. He's the shielded version. What's funny is you don't really need the shields against the vampires, but I find myself typically picking the shielded Saurus warriors just because I like the extra melee defense the shield brings. I don't know how you all feel about it, but we do have the cohort of Sotek back here, which is an unbreakable red-crested skink, so it's a low armor, but armor piercing. We do have an interesting unit here. This is the Spirit of Teapot. This is a Coatl unit that can hide units that are underneath it. So any unit that it's flying over, it will hide them. So a very cool unit. There's some Hex Wraiths for the vampires as well. They're going to be swooping in out here and looking to KO a unit of skinks, but they are in range of this Bastiladon with Solar Engine. I'm not sure if that skink target is quite worth it to get up here, and they are only 50% physical resist now with the changes that have been made. I do think that it's going to be interesting here. The Graveguard are pretty tough. Saurus warriors are as well, but Graveguard, especially if they get some good support from these Cryptors, it's going to depend on what goes on. There is a Bastiladon with the Ark of Sotek coming in, and it looks like they may drop their ability here, and then the Coatl's coming in to support as well. So we'll check this out and see what happens. Here comes the Sternsmen up the middle. Let's see where the Bats are headed. I feel like the Bats need to swarm into the Chameleon Skinks. Instead, it looks like they try and break the charge of the cohort of Sotek. Interesting choice there. That Ark of Sotek here, I'm not sure if it's been used yet. Invocation of the heck going on for the vampires there, so looks like Isabella has dove into this fight against the Mage of Life, hoping to influence it. Yeah, and as expected, the vampire's proving tough in melee for the Lizardmen here. Let's see how they use these Hex Wraiths. This is going to want to be your targets out here as these Chameleon Skinks. I would pull the Hex Wraith out of the back of this fight. The vampires, ooh, I was going to say they should be able to grind a while, but that is a brutal, absolutely brutal vortex spell there. It's a banishment. It looks like there's another one up over here. I don't know how he pulled off a double banishment, unless one of them's tied on to one of these monsters. Dang, that was crazy. Double banishment. Yeah, 115 kills on the Slann Mage. I think Slann Mages can bring a bound banishment spell. One of the Hex Wraiths does land in the Chameleon Skinks. It's not quickly routing them, though. I would have expected maybe a bit quicker route. Skeleton warriors and spearmen. I mean, the Lizardmen are definitely struggling to get rid of the vampire infantry. However, they're making good progress. I think with their key units here, the Coatl and the Slann Mage, they have cleared a lot of the more elite vampire infantry, and I think that the vampires are gonna feel it pretty quick. You see Isabella chasing this Bastiladon. That is just not gonna do much. I almost feel like Isabella should be trying to get the Slann Mage, because the Bastiladon is way too armored. You'd need the Cryptors to help pick at that one, or the Hex Wraiths. And the Hex Wraiths do finally get a hold of the Chameleon Skinks. So this is some pretty good kills here. They may want to consider trying to rear charge and free up some of that chaff, but the thing is it may be too late over here. Let's see what goes down next. Someone's about to throw down something big. Yeah, that's the Dwellers Below. So basically, the Lizardmen are going to sacrifice a few of their own troops, but they're going to get rid of quite a lot of Graveguard here. So that's probably a good sacrifice in the end. The Lizards were able to chew through that, and the Vampires are losing their chaff. And as Vampires lose chaff, they tend to lose the fight. So they're going to be in trouble here. That Solar Engine does have magic ammunition, so it's going to be dangerous. So here's the problem. The Lizards have got to focus out a Bastillodon Solar Engine. They've still got to deal with the Bastillodon Arcasotek. They've still got to deal with the Coatl. These large units are kind of the bane of the existence of Vampires. And the Lizardmen picked them, and I think it's a good pick, because then it really puts a lot of onus on the Vampires to deal with these units before they lose their chaff. And at this point, the Vampires have pretty much lost that chaff. And that is the trick to playing Vampires, is you've really got to keep a good, healthy amount of chaff in. I feel like you've almost got to focus on a certain area of the fight and try and start wrapping it up before you're able to move on. But it can be tricky, because like I said, these single entities can be a struggle. I almost wonder if a Terrorgeist isn't a decent pick in this matchup. They are very expensive, so you'd have to consider where the cost goes, but thinking a Terrorgeist could be good. Makes me wonder about Vargulfs as well. I wonder if Vargulfs can help goon some of these armored targets, because they have armor piercing. They don't do a ton of damage, but that's pretty cool. The laser coming out of the mouth of the Coatl. Really neat unit. You don't see these every day. Yeah, I mean, Lizardmen definitely has a lot of tough monsters, and monsters are a tricky one for the Vampires. They don't have pole arms to deal with it. They do have Blood Knights. Blood Knights are expensive and not armor piercing. Hex Wraiths can do armor piercing, but they have vulnerabilities as well, like to magic. And right here, this Hex Wraith is going to be feeling that one for days. That's going to hurt. A Dwellers Below on an ethereal unit. Yikes. Yep, so that is going to well and truly finish it. So you can see, again, Isabella is very tough in terms of being able to heal, but she can't deal damage to the armored targets. So I almost wonder about the pick for Isabella here. She's good at support, and she could maybe try and keep the Lizards busy. The problem is that she can't give you much value in terms of dishing out damage. I almost feel like she would be better against a faction where you expect a little less armor, where her more duelist stats may come out to shine a little better, or she can kind of quickly bounce around the battlefield, helping in some of the infantry fights. But yeah, when you're going to come up against the Lizardmen, you definitely got to have a plan for digging through some single entities or monstrous units of some sort. I think the Hex Wraiths got a good start at trying to get the Chameleon Skinks, but ultimately they were pulled into these fights to try and kill these single entities where they were melted by a Vortex spell. That is a risk with a unit like Hex Wraiths. If you take Hex Wraiths thinking, well, I'll use them to cut through the single entities, you gotta remember Vortex spells. That's the real trick here right now. Vortex spells are not very effective against other single entities, or they're not as effective against like monstrous infantry. So sometimes with the Vampires, you can be better off to just focus on a lot of cheaper chaff infantry, to just put a ton of bodies out there, which then brings the value down for any of the enemy units that are trying to chip away your infantry. And then really focus in on a goon squad, like double Terrorgeist, maybe a couple Vargulfs and a Terrorgeist, something like that. A goon squad that can get in and really knock out these important key targets. And of course, you got to be careful, because with crappy chaff like that, they will lose. So you kind of have to pick a spot and help start winning in those spots, and then use your goon squad to start picking away at the enemy heroes and monsters. But in this case, the Vampires are not going to survive this one. But, a good game from both players. And obviously, so this is Wicked, and I believe he's playing with, was it Jar is who he said? I can't remember the exact name. I apologize. I'm forgetting the name of the other player. But basically, he's teaching him how to play. And I would say this. I think he's coming along nice. I've seen improvements in some of the replays. And this is a really cool thing to do, where you just sit there and play battles with a friend to help them learn how to play, because it does help a lot. And I might suggest, if you're a newer player and you want to get into multiplayer but you're scared, come on our Discord. Find someone like this. There's more than enough people, I promise you, to be willing to help you and just play battles with you. This is a great way to learn. Just play battles with someone who knows. Let them give you feedback. Don't get discouraged. Just keep trying. I don't know what this Coatl's doing right here, but he may be trying to impregnate the Bastillodons, which would create a very strange brood indeed. But in any case, oh, it's Isabella. They can't kill her. None of them are good at putting any damage in her either. I told you she could heal a lot. It'd be hard to kill. But yeah, I think this is a great way to learn to play the game. I think good on Wicked for taking the time to try and teach another player how to get into the game. That's a great way to do. That's why when I play my streams, I tell people, hey, just join. It's okay. Don't be afraid. Just come play. If you haven't played before, it's okay. Just tell us. We'll try and give you some advice as you come through it. And like I said, the Discord is a great place to be because you can learn some better ways to play and get some ideas, and you can find partners who are going to be willing to help you like this. So again, appreciate Wicked. He's an awesome member of my community, and he's great to have in the Warhammer community as a whole, obviously, for, you know, helping out new players like this as well. Let's fast forward here and see what Isabella does. I mean, she is lasting an incredibly long time in here. That is very impressive on her part. Way longer than I thought she would have made it. But there we go. The Slann Mage of Life just gets way too many kills in value here. 3,277 in value. And remember that Slann are blockbusters. So when you see them, you have got to deal with them quickly, or else they will cause some major pain to your chaff, especially with its vampires. So that he punished the Graveguard and many other units. The Coatl did quite well here. It was getting a lot of value. Hadn't taken much damage. Same thing with the Solar Engine. Same thing with the Arc of Sotek. These Skinks aren't going to get a ton of value because they're up against mostly Vampire Chaff, but the Saurus Warriors did pretty good here. I mean, that one picked up good value, and so did this one, so not a bad job at all. Take a look at Isabella. She was trying. She was overmatched, and, you know, still managed to get decent value even against armored targets. And then the Hex Wraiths here got a bunch of kills, but not necessarily a huge value for the Hex Wraiths. The Chameleon Skinks are a good target. They definitely have to go after it. One thing Hex Wraiths are very good at is if you can isolate an infantry fight quickly, where you've taken, like, your unit of infantry has fixed an enemy unit, and then the Hex Wraiths charge from behind. They deal armor-piercing damage. They have a chilling or a frostbite, and I think a chilling aura, so they slow down an enemy unit a lot, and they cause terror. So one of the things that they can be most effective at is picking off infantry fights if you can get them singled out. The Cryptors, I think, are a good pick for supporting Vampire Infantry. It just didn't work out here. And like I said, I gave a couple of thoughts there. But then again, Vampires aren't my strength. So if you have anything you want to say in there to help out the new player who's learning, let's give them some advice. And again, appreciate them taking the time to learn the game, and appreciate Wicked working with them. So anyway, HeirofCarthage is signing out for now. I'll see you all again soon with some more action in Total War Warhammer 3.